And we're all high. What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy ice blizzard to like most of the continental U.S. It's bad out there. It sucks. Um, but we're gonna make the best of it. We're gonna make the best of it. We got a house here. Buddy Carfano, what's happening? Mark Sauvé, Tumbleweed. What's happening, man? Hemi Head 68. Fifth Avenger, Rocco, what's going on? Joker, Mexican Spec is in the house. Lots of you guys. Scoop, what's happening, Scoop? Lumpy. Um, so how's everybody doing tonight? How is it where you are? Because it's pretty freaking brutal out here. I got to tell you. Joker, you're saying you're seeing a lot of nasty ice reports in Tennessee and other states. It's crazy out there. And we had big ice buildup like last night, and then all morning today it poured rain, and now it's freezing out there. So it's like it's nuts. It's nuts. Matthew Wood, what's happening? Mo Parquet is in the house. What's happening, Mo Parquet? She ain't playing. Katie Best, what's happening, Katie? Tank tops and shorts there in Sarasota. Just leave now, okay? Leave now. I literally listen to me. I went to my shop this morning and I closed. I brought that new bike that I picked up in the back, and I put the heater right next to me so I could pretend that it was summer. I'm not lying to you, okay? And I polished the bike. I spent like 2 hours like cleaning and polishing the bike because I needed to pretend that it was like nice out. Zero is in the house. Nice. Let's see. Mo Parquet, it's getting here in South. You're in Missouri, right? Going to be 25 tonight. It's got to be. It's probably 20 degrees out there right now. Real snowy in Connecticut. Stank Lincoln is saying. I know you guys up in the Northeast. Boston is supposed to get blasted. Like everything that's coming over the whole country is, now is supposed to like funnel down and all end up in Boston. I hope Brian Cabral's okay. I haven't heard from Brian Cabral. And Brian, for you guys who don't know, Brian was like the super troll. I miss Brian. I really do. Brian Cabral was a YouTuber, okay? And every morning he made a video about me. Like literally every morning, like 7 days a week. Do you guys remember Brian? And then he just disappeared. He was the ultimate troll. Like he was a dedicated like the kind of level of dedication I've never seen before. And I miss him. I hope Brian is doing well. Brian, come back, man. I need somebody to keep me in line, Brian. Let's see. Need Melly to put 50 miles on your bike today, huh? Bro, as hardcore as in New York, I used to ride year round, even in the snow. Now I just don't have it. I just do not have it. I can't do it. I'm old and tired. I've paid my Ironman dues. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, yeah, fine. I'm just gonna be a puss. Mo Parman, you got about 8 inches of chemical snow. What's chemical snow? Tommy Manley or Tom Manley, gold and silver are doing well tonight. We need to do a precious metals check because I know all of you guys have jumped into the market and you're okay. Wow. All right. Very nice. All right. So currently gold is sitting at, and I think Shanghai just opened or it's about to open. Gold is sitting at $5,045.02. That's up $66.17, 1.33%. And silver is currently at 107.10709. That's up $6.06, up 5.99%. So yes, that's pretty impressive. We'll check on that. We'll keep checking on that. Ultimate Massive is saying you're shut down in Dixon. I know I was watching video from Nashville, which okay, so I'm 25 miles south of Nashville in Murfreesboro, and I was watching video like live feed from Nashville, and it was brutal. And you guys are up there on the same line as Nashville. We're just below it, and it's like it looks like all the heavy stuff is passing just to the north of us, but it's still like a frozen wasteland out there. Butch Dix is still buying silver. You go, Butch. Um, Rope. Where does an amateur like me start to sell his silver coin? Do not sell it, bro. Trust me when I tell you, do not sell it. If you are going to sell it, what you need to do is you need to have a relationship. I answered this comment in that video that I did yesterday. Um, you need to have you're going to find a couple of local coin dealers in your area, right? You need to find who they are and build a relationship with them, because that currently that's how you're buying and selling. All right, or you can buy from anywhere, but that's where you're selling. You're going to sell to your local coin guy, and you're going to work out deals. Someone will pay a spot, someone will pay you just under spot. It just depends. It depends on your relationship. It depends on how much you buy through them. It depends on how his inventory is at any given moment, what you can negotiate. But do yourself a favor, okay? Don't sell any of it. Just don't even think about it. Put that out of your head. So Mark Q8, I can't. Mark. You got a nice mention from Kevin on the Skylab audio channels today. Kevin's audio restoration shop is in West Des Moines, Iowa. Well, that was nice of him. What was that about? What was the mention about? It's always nice to hear. Let's see. Mopar Man 78 is saying he saw him seeding for several days prior to seeding. Saw him for several days prior to seeding the skies. This is all kind of crazy stuff. There was another thing though, because we used to talk about chemtrails. Like you go back like 20 years ago, and it's like chemtrails, they're up there, and people would look at them and say, "No, that's plane. That's a contrail from planes." Like, no, they don't fly 30 planes next to each other in grid formation. No, it doesn't work like that. Well, Parquet is saying school is delayed 2 hours tomorrow, so great 2 hour delay sliding all over the road. You're going to school, or you got kids going to school? Let's see. Yeah, zero is giving the definition of chemtrails. Let's see. I have a scoop saying I have one silver spoon. It's a big one. I need to weigh it. It's probably plated. There's actually a site that gives you the different weights of silverware, because there's all different types of silverware and all different grades, and it gives you the weights and the melt value of it. But yeah, me personally, I wouldn't unless you need it, unless you're up against it and you need cash right now. I wouldn't sell anything. Don't sell a thing. Just hang on. It's going to be you're talking about this year is going to be middle of this year towards July, right? I'm going to say July is going to be the time. Okay. For action. So just chill. Don't sell anything. Robert Trio is saying, waiting for a good pullback before I buy more. Robert, I've been waiting for a pullback for a while now. I've been expecting a pullback. I was expecting a gap down tonight on trading story, but evidently, we went the other way, it gapped up. So the odds of a substantial pullback are getting smaller and smaller all the time. That's not to say there won't be some pullbacks, but a pullback to that zone where you say, yeah, I need to buy, right? I don't know if it's, I don't know if we're going to get it. Um, Zach Power, USA. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, Zach. I was motivated to weld up my rear end after seeing your vid. HO52 with 410s in my C20. Four-speed automatic, 6-liter carbureted, 750 double pumper. She should be a hoot. Yeah, sounds like fun. Sounds like fun. Um, Joker, what was a good cutoff here for good pennies? 1982. 1982 is the cutoff year. And now wheat pennies are selling at a premium. So it's not just the copper pennies, but also just wheat pennies. Not just because it's so instantly recognizable. They're selling for a premium. Um, let's see. Dickie Farley. I mentioned you. I mentioned you recently on that tall blonde girl's channel. It has the XJ Jeeps. I'm not aware of. Um, I'm not aware of that. I will. Does the channel have a name? Or is that the name of it? Um, Crazy Bargy. Hey Tony, love your channel. Been watching for a long time. Thank you so much. What are your thoughts on going from worked over J heads to trick flow aluminum? I'm an iron head guy. I like iron heads. Just they're durable. They're simple. They're cheap. They're easy to work with. Um, the trick flows are definitely an upgrade. Me myself, if I had a nice set of ported J heads, and either the 180 or the 202s, if I had a really nice set of J heads, I would tend to keep them. But that's just me. I'm not saying anything wrong about the trick flow. The trick flow is definitely an upgrade, depending on the level of porting. I'm not familiar with what the levels that are offered there, but your call. Me myself. You asked me. I'm an iron head guy. Dickie Farley is saying, definitely tell Uncle Kathy we all said hi and hope she's doing good. Oh, she's doing great. Actually, I'm expecting coffee from her like any second. I should probably call her and order some coffee. Max Metal, I bought 14 ounces at $72.28 back on New Year's Day, right? You see how fast this is going? I know. I know. Um, Joe Camacho, follow Cliff High. He's the Silverman Silver Wolf parody gold. Oh, he's the Silver Wolf parody. It's not parody, it's parity, meaning 1-to-1 of gold, if not go higher. I do not think that silver is going to. Cliff High is a brilliant person. It's a little nutty, a little nutty. Okay, as anybody who's spent as much time like with mind altering chemicals as he has, but that was an exploration journey. I totally get that. But he's a little bit out there, but at the same time, he's brilliant. I'm beyond brilliant. He was the guy who was called for $600 silver like 8 or 9 years ago. He's also the guy, if you're not familiar, so if you're not familiar with who he is, he's among other things, he's a linguistic he studies linguistics, and he created a program called the WebBot. That this is back in the 1990s, and this is when I first became aware of him. That what it does is it combs through comes through every news group, every forum, every news site on the internet, the entire internet, and it it extrapolates. And based on these extrapolations, he's able to make predictions into the future. So, like for instance, in 2006. 2006. He predicted, and I don't remember which event it was, but he predicted that something would happen on the same day that Donald Trump was on the Joe Rogan show. And this was long before Trump was a president or even talked about running for president. It's like 8 years before that, right? 7 years before that. And Rogan was just a comedian at the time. Predicted it in 2006. And thank you, Kathy Bananas. Oh, shut watching the international. So he's made a lot of predictions. He predicted. Remember the drones we had last year? This time last year, there's crazy drone activity. He predicted that to the day that it started. So the guy has a lot of good solid predictions that, based on this web program that he has, and he's been called for $600 silver now for a long time. Here's where I disagree with him. I don't think it's. I think we're going to blow right past 600 at some point in the not too distant future. Um, let's see. Let me scroll up here. Oh, Barrow's Garage is in the house. What's happening, brother? Um, a master of many tongues. Oh, you're talking about Cliff High, yeah. Josh Holman, what's happening, bro? Uh, Scoop said four-door cars suck. I love four-door cars. I've said it 1,000 times. Life is too short. I don't have the time to go around and count all the freaking doors on a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? So however many doors it has is how many doors it has. Some people, they like to do that. They spend their extra time counting the doors, and they want to stop at two. You know, they're very impatient. I have to stop at two. I don't want to count three or four or anything like that. But I'm not that way. I don't have the time to count. Um, Managing the dogs. Yes, Kathy Bananas is keeping the dogs in shape. Dickie Farley is saying he's telling zero. The tall blonde girl that likes XJ Jeeps. Her channel is Alexis XJ or Alexis XJ69. I'm going to check that out. Barrows, thank you for the super chat. Service like that deserves a tip, Kathy Bananas. I will definitely pass them along to her. Harry Lister, how ugly would an AMX be with four doors? We're not talking about some cars are, a sports car is really based on a two-door design, but I'm talking about cars in general. No, I don't count them. Or how's this sound? I just don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. I see the car. I like clean cars. I like nice cars, but I see the car from its mechanical end. I see the car from its use, right? Not from its. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to. You know what I'm saying? I can love a four-door car as much as I can love a two-door car, as much as I can love a station wagon. It doesn't make any difference to me. I know a lot of people don't understand that because they only see cars from one dimension. I don't see them from one dimension. I see them as multi-dimensional things, and the number of doors just doesn't really register to me. And Oscar Walton is saying that's the truth. I think the only two-door is a boomer thing. Younger people don't seem to care. Absolutely right. Younger people just could care less. They don't. You're right. It is a boomer thing. Um, well, you see the inner beauty. Yes, yes. Um, Bear was saying 4 doors are usually in better shape because no one hot rodded them in a day. If you notice, um, 4 doors, mostly, okay, I'm going to go with the Mopars, much less rust, much less rust. And that's because of the lack of a gap at the back of the roof between the window glass and the quarter panel. Because on a 2 door car, I'm talking Mopars, but this really does count towards pretty much everything else. But I'm just going by my experience with Mopars. On a 2 door car, there's a gap between the rear quarter window and the quarter panel. It's originally from the factory, it's filled with rubber, okay, a rubber strip, but over time that rubber shrinks back. And now, every time it rains, every time you drive in the car in the rain, or it just sits and gets rained on, that rain travels along the glass of the quarter window and drops down into the quarter panel between the rear tire and the door. Okay, so that section, you get the door, you get the back tire, and there's a little section of quarter panel. Well, all of the water comes straight down and gathers in there, and that water brings dirt. Rainwater generally has some dirt in it, and it all gathers there and it'll rust the quarter panel. Now, beyond that, okay, as you're driving down the road, okay, and the wind is pushing the rainwater back, it hits the back quarter window, goes through that gap, and then gets blown rearward over the rear wheel and then into the trunk drop off, the quarter panel drop off. And so they'll rust there. And if you notice, 4 door cars never have any rust in front of the wheel opening. They never have any rust above the wheel opening, and it's rare for them to have any rust in the trunk drop offs. So, and that's all because of that gap that's in the quarter window on a 2 door car, but isn't on a 4 door car. So 4 doors generally are much more solid cars. Lean Burn Cordova was saying 4 door cars are not worth enough to have them redone. Cars born wrong will always been that way. They will never be cool, maybe practical, but that's where it stops. I don't know. I have a '72 Dodge Coronet that would argue with that for sure, for sure. Um, Robert Trio was saying, I definitely prefer 2 doors. I think modern 4 doors look better on the classic 4 door. Now, there's a difference between preferring a 2 door to a 4 door and just discounting 4 doors. It's fine to have a preference. Some people prefer 4 door for the utility and for the ease of in and out, especially carrying a family or using it to all your friends around, right? Then a 4 door is more practical. And it's, I see the preference there. And then a 2 door is more sporty. It's cleaner looking. So I can see a preference there. And so there's nothing wrong with preferring one over the other. But to just outright and say, no, 4 doors are parts cars. They're junk. They can't be cool. That's nonsense. That's bullshit. Um, let's see. Tony, I'd like to hear your thoughts on hydrogen combustion engines. There have been several built for SEMA over the last couple of years. The problem with hydrogen is the same problem you're going to have with natural gas or propane or anything like that. It's a gaseous fuel and it expends quickly. I've talked about this countless times online, and I've actually done videos about this. You have to go and search, right? Um, the problem is there's no burn duration to it. Hydrogen, any gaseous fuel, and that includes vapor carburetor, like hot vapor engines, like the smoke unit engine, um, they expend their energy almost immediately when the spark plug lights. All right. So what happens is you don't get much follow through. A liquid fuel like gasoline or diesel, okay, the vapors light, but then there are heavy droplets that burn later on in the stroke. Like so, in other words, a hydrogen motor or hydrogen engine will uh, spark plug lights, and within let's say 15 degrees, 20 degrees of crankshaft rotation, the charge is done and you're working just off of the expanding gases from that initial light. But now when you have a partially atomized, a liquid fuel, droplets in there, what happens is you get that initial burst, and it'll last you to 15 degrees, 20 degrees past top dead center. But then what happens is the heat of combustion and the pressure in there vaporizes the droplets, and now those droplets start to burn. So now you increase the length of duration to 20, 30, 40 degrees past top dead center. I'm comparing like hydrogen to like gasoline. And so you get more follow through. Now, also you have to remember this, the further away from top dead center, the closer you get to a right angle on the crankshaft, which is where you've got maximum leverage. So what's happening is a hydrogen or a gaseous fueled engine uses up the vast majority of its charge when there is not much angularity to the rod, and the crank is only starting to swing past that maximum leverage point of 90. Where when you're using a liquid fuel that extends the duration of burn, you go closer to that 90, and that's where your torque happens. So that's I mean I went too far with that. I didn't want to get into this whole discussion about that. But yes. Let's see. Olive is in the house. What's happening, Olive? Um, let's see. I'm just scrolling back up here. Thunderstruck is saying people wait their lives just to save enough money to buy a two-door when they could just buy a cheap four-door version of the same car and have fun building it. I agree. Um, you, you guys are you guys are discussing the two-door versus four-door thing. Okay. Let me move up to the more the current comments. White Opal Magic silver price reached $132 ounce in Swedish auction site. Let me get a let me get a price check. Let's get a price check. Currently, we've got ooh, wow. Gold is at $5,075. That's up $96.93. That's 1.95%, almost 2%, almost $100 up on gold on this session. And silver, it just keeps bashing along. 108.03. That's up $7, 6.93%. Oh, wow. I love this shit. Um, War Ghost. War Ghost. For performance purposes, is a four-door really any worse than a two-door? No, it's backwards. It's opposite. For certain vehicles, especially Mopar unibodies, the four-door sedan is superior for performance because that post in the center stiffens the car. It's just like putting frame connectors underneath. So a lot of people put frame connectors underneath unibody cars to stiffen them, okay? But you have to remember, in a unibody car, the roof is also part of the frame, okay? So on a four-door sedan, a Mopar sedan, the posts between the front and the back doors, the B pillars, those stiffen the frame enough because they keep the roof from moving. Okay, they keep all of the twists from happening at the roof level. That it's the same as adding frame connectors underneath. So you're going to save yourself like 70 pounds, 80 pounds of frame connector, okay, versus the 10 pounds of post. You know, for the same stiffness. Now, if you ever watch Bottle Rocket launch, okay, that car leaves with the left front wheel in the air every time, right? Sometimes it'll pull a right front also, but it leaves with the left front wheel in the air, and there's zero body twist. And that is a completely stock unibody. I have not touched it in any way, shape, or form. Stock unibody, stock suspension, front and back. Yeah, no. In some cases, the four-door is superior for performance than a two-door. And yes, and zero is saying Mopar A-bodies forever. Yes, abs two-door, four-door, convertible, wagon, all of them. Let's see. Oh my God, I should have rolled a couple of cigarettes before I started. Okay. Nash Bridges. No, Henny Kudas, yes. Rocco, police package cars had a reinforced roof. No, not that I'm aware of. I don't believe that. The only fleet cars that I remember, I could be wrong, okay, but the only fleet cars that I remember having any differences were the taxi package cars, taxi package B bodies, Coronets and Belvederes, and all through the run, the taxi package car had a floor pan that was 2 inches deeper, right? And that's it. The transmission tunnel is at the same height, but the actual floor pan itself is 2 inches deeper. But that's the only, and then it'll have a T in the VIN, so it'll be the second digit in the VIN number on a taxi package car is a T. Very rare to see. Very rare to see. But you could have ordered, like anybody could have ordered if you had walked into it. Let's say you were 6'6" and you wanted to buy a Dodge Coronet and you wanted the extra couple inches of footroom. You could have gone in there and ordered a taxi package, and it would give you the deeper. Nobody did, but it was available. It could have been ordered by anybody. Um, Yeah, yeah. The Gap and Roush four-door Maverick was a pro stock terror back in the day. It absolutely was. Buick, Jeff. Um, I'm just scrolling backwards here, guys. Um, uh, Blue Dirt Garage four-door wagons are good because they have the stiffness of a four-door and extra weight in the back to plant the tires. Absolutely. Um, let's see. Thunder Falcon 289. I traded a four-wheeler for an 87 Dodge short bed truck that's got very little rust, but I'm having trouble finding a stock slant six breather assembly. It's hard to find parts for it. So if it's an 87, is it a two barrel or a four barrel? It's probably a four. I'm sorry, did I say that? 87. It's either a one barrel or a two barrel. It's either a Carter, BBS. No, actually, it'd be a Holly. Both of them are Hollies. So you've got either a one barrel or a two barrel carburetor on it. Super Six would be the two barrel. So for that one, any two barrel 318 intake, any 318 two barrel air cleaner will fit that setup because it's the same carburetor. If it's a one barrel, then you've got no choice but to hunt down a slant six only air cleaner assembly. I have no idea where you find it. You just got to poke around. Somebody in the area, so some Mopar guy, you've got a Mopar guy in the area, you're just going to have him dig through the back of his shed and find the old air cleaners he's stacked up because all Mopar guys have stacks of old air cleaners in the back. Um, let's see. Joker. The argument is useless if we're talking about a car that was only available in two-door or only available in four-door. Well, yes, that's true. KG Kali, Tony, what about the lack of torque boxes on a four-door? You can add them. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. They sell torque boxes. Uh, you just weld them in. So the torque boxes were available on standard on all convertibles. That's what he originally came from, the torque box, and then they added them to Hemi cars, um, just to reinforce that area where the leaf spring is pushing against the frame right at the back of the rocker. They added that torque box there to spread the load a little bit. I don't really see it being a big deal, but you can add them in. It's just you buy a torque box, stick it up there, and tack weld it in the same way the factory did. Uh, White Opal Magic, Bitcoin keeps crashing. It will. It will. Don't. I'm in crypto. I'm in crypto. But as I've said 1,000 times, right? I'm not in crypto as an investment. I do not see it as digital gold. It's completely different. You don't save your money in crypto. Crypto is like going to the casino. That it's a speculative bet. Crypto at some point will go to zero. The main difference between crypto and let's say gold or silver or any precious metal, platinum, even copper, for Christ's sakes. The main difference between them is that those metals, the actual metals, have no counterparty risk. They are what they are. Crypto, on the other hand, literally everything is a counterparty risk. Right down to the battery in your phone is a counterparty risk. Literally every single thing on earth is a counterparty risk. Okay, whereas zero counterparty risk. So crypto for speculation, I'm in it because I believe that because we're heading into a currency crisis, that crypto is going to go absolutely apeshit. But I also believe that once it does go apeshit, it's going to disappear. So my plan is to ride crypto 3/4 of the way up, and then cash out. As far as precious metals, I never plan on selling. Precious metals are precious metals are an insurance policy to life, and so here's the thing about that most people miss when they're looking at precious metals and they're looking at it in conventional terms. Okay, precious metals, you don't sell precious metals. There's no such thing as selling precious metals. Silver and gold are the money. It's the money. You can't sell the money. You can trade the money for currency. Okay, but the actual gold and silver is the actual money. Your wealth is measured in ounces, not dollars, and that's what most people miss, and that's why they get a little frustrated with it all, right? You trade precious metals for currency, or you trade precious metals for land, you trade it for food, whatever it happens to be. You don't sell it, you trade it. So that is the money. Okay, that is the money. When you start looking at it that way, you see it completely different. That's a good point. Crypto can't exist without silver. Absolutely right. Um, Two Hacks Garage. Howdy, Jeff. What's happening, brother man? Uh, I'm scrolling back up here. Josh Holman is saying they shouldn't even allow ordinary people to buy 700 up with a horsepower without special training. Power like that in the wrong hands can get you in trouble in a hurry. I completely agree with you. I, I know it sounds crazy, right? But yes, no, I absolutely agree with you. And that's how it is in Germany. Like the driver's tests and everything, and the driving standards in Germany, completely different than here. And there are levels that that you're able to operate at with certain skill levels. And here it's like it's a free for all, and they put 1,000 horsepower in the hands of like people who have no business with 1,000 freaking horsepower. That wasn't a big deal. It wasn't an issue. Like you go back to my generation, okay, where 350 or 400 horsepower was a big deal. It's like, okay, yeah, 400 horsepower in a 4,000 pound car. It's snappy and fun, but it's not like, out of control deadly, right? But no, 1,000 horsepower in the hands of just any old schmuck. No, it's a bad mix. It's a bad idea. It's the same thing with motorcycles. Today's motorcycles are so freaking potent. I mean, 80, 100 horsepower, if you go back 25 years, right? 80 or 100 horsepower was a brutal, fast motorcycle, okay? Put it in perspective. If you ever read Hunter S. Thompson's Song of the Sausage Creature, right? Where he's talking about that was only a 92 horsepower bike that he was like raving on about, okay? Um, Now 192 horsepower is normal, and you've got these squids out there that are just like killing themselves, and like there's no tomorrow. It's just like, yes, it's like a suicide mission. Let's just go buy this 180 horsepower bike with absolutely no conception of what I'm doing and go have fun with it. It's no, there actually should be limits. There should be limits, and it's not even that they should be government imposed limits. They should be manufacturer imposed limits. Like they should, like at one point, what was it? They agreed. The various Japanese manufacturers agreed not to go over 200 miles an hour. They were going to cap the speeds at 200, right? Which is still ridiculous. And this is back around 2000, 2001, and they stuck with it for a while. But then I forget which one broke it, and they went like 214 or something like that, and then all of a sudden it was a free fall again. But yeah, the manufacturers should kind of police what they put out on the street. I think it's irresponsible. Um, Dickie Farley saying, I totally agree with the 700 horsepower comment, but I also agree that any red-blooded American should be able to buy a nice car and wrap it around a tree if they so please. If you want to buy a car, if you want to buy a 700, 1,000, and 2,000 horsepower car and go snuff yourself, well, more power to you. I mean, I'm totally fine. That's great. You bought the ticket, you take the ride, right? But there are other people out there. When he wraps it around a tree, it doesn't. There are other people in the way. You see what I'm saying? There are innocent passengers that end up in his car. You see what I'm saying? So no, on the one hand, yes, I agree with you, but no, there's a whole world of things for him to run into with his 700 friggin' horsepower. Um, Eric Fuzzwaldner, hey Tony, have you seen the gold and silver spot prices? We've been checking it several times tonight. So let's go with the current update at 7:47 p.m. Central Standard Time. Oh, it just keeps it just keeps going. Um, okay, wait, it dialed back. Still, silver gold is at $5,074.15. That's up 95.30. Whoop, it just went up again. $5,770, $5,077.98. That's up 99.13, up 1.99%. Spot silver is 108.03. That hasn't changed. That's still hanging in there. 108.03. That's up 6.99 on the session for 6.92%. And I guess that's what Shanghai opened now. So interesting trading. Hello, territory. Dickie Farley, that's definitely true, Tony. I kind of agree with both. Really, I was just being funny. Okay, but a lot of people aren't. That's how they really feel about it, Buddy Corfano, how much horsepower would you consider for a daily driver? Me? For I'm talking about daily driver, right? Daily driver, 150 horsepower. I mean, that's all I need. 150, 180 horsepower is way more than I'm going to use on 99% of the time. Um, yeah, I don't. I, I I make a distinction between daily driver and performance car. In my mind, a performance car is for performance, not for being in traffic, and a daily driver is for being in traffic and not for performance. In my mind, like there's a separation between the two. You know, uh, Mike's out fishing. That gold and silver bubble will have a correction soon and drop a lot like everything else. It's not a bubble, bro. It's not a bubble. This is a debasement trade. This is the rest of the world saying we're done with your dollars. Give us metal. Okay, we're finished. We're finished playing your games. We're finished printing these things and making digits like there's no tomorrow. We're done with your sanctions and all of these insanities, the abuse of power. The rest of the world is saying, no, we're finished with that. Give us gold and silver. We're going to make our own currencies and we're going to back it with hard assets. So it is not a bubble. And that's not to say we won't have a correction. It should have a correction. I hope it has a correction. But that's besides the point. It's not a bubble. Definitely not a bubble. Um, JFK could have stopped it too. JFK was in the process of stopping. Look up JFK's executive order from October. I believe it was the first week of October, 1963, where he was talking about hard currency, silver currency. Um, I forget exactly what the executive order. Basically, the executive order would have taken the power away from the Fed. And then a month and a half later, he was dead. But just Google it. I don't remember the number of the executive order. I used to be pretty well versed on that stuff 20 years ago when I first started going down the rabbit holes. Okay, I was very well versed in these things, but I'm not anymore. We'll look up that executive order. Um, Thunderbird, would silver or gold make a better currency? Definitely not gold. Gold, gold, is, Gold is there for the bigger purchases, bigger accounts. Silver is the money of the people. Silver has always been the money of the people. Silver and copper, mostly because there was enough of it to go around. So you made your regular everyday purchases with silver, and when you were going to buy a house or something like that, that's when you use gold. Um, so it's always been a bimetal monetary standard, not just in this country, but like in every civilization since the beginning of our history. You go back 5,000 to 6,000 years, whatever the hell it is. Um, it's always been a bimetallic standard for that reason. And then copper entered the picture because there were some sales, some purchases that you're going to make that are less than the smallest piece of silver, and that's how copper came into being as a monetary metal, your pennies and whatnot. Um, let's see. Karen Young, USA. My daily driver puts about approximately 340 horsepower to the rear wheels, and that is honestly more than I really need. For daily, yeah. My other daily puts out 190 horsepower to the wheels and is a better daily driver. Yes, yes, I know. if you drive on like rainy days and stuff like that, and you don't have traction control. Like granted, modern cars with traction control are a lot more efficient like that than that. But yeah, driving around 400 horsepower in like daily driver traffic in regular things that you come across, rain, dusty roads, slick pavement and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a handful. I don't want to have to pay attention to the thing that I'm driving any more than I have to pay attention to the traffic that's around me. So yeah, 180 horsepower to rear wheels is way more than adequate for a daily driver. I know people. I have different outlook towards this sort of thing than a lot of people do. Same thing with the four doors. I have a different way of looking at things than most people do. But as far as a daily driver is concerned, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way with time slips, with knowing the performance. So like for instance, to give an example, like my Charger, I have my '67 Charger, 440 car. If you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you've seen it many times. I will not take that to the track. I will not put the draggy on it. I do not want to know what the car's performance numbers are, because once it has a number in my head, now that number needs to be improved on. And the car's definition, or the car's personality now, has to do with that number. And as soon as you do that, you lose the utility aspect of the car. You lose the fun, just carefree driving aspect of the car, because now there's a number that has to be beat. So if I have something that I drive, that I cruise, that's not intended for racing, I never take them to the track. I never try to get the times on them. I want to be completely ignorant about that, and I enjoy the car more. I enjoy it more. Um, let's see. Thunderbird, any thought on silver bullets? Hyper a good option. Golden toilets. I like the golden toilet. Silver bullet, yeah. Look, you got vampires, you got werewolves, you have all sorts of things that you may need a silver bullet for. So, yeah, well, go for it. You know what? Here's the thing, right? A silver bullet wouldn't be that deadly if you stop and you think about it, because brass, copper or brass, when they hit the object, they expand, they deform. Okay, silver wouldn't do that. Like if you shot something with a silver bullet, the bullet would just pass right through and probably cauterize the wound on its way through. Right, so it'd be hard to be hard to make a lethal shot, anything but between the eyes, with a silver bullet. It's just going to go right through you. So Robert Trio, my daily Nissan has a 170 has 175 horsepower and has enough power for most situations. Absolutely. Um, Thunder Falcon. Hey Tony, I took a second look at the carburetor. It's not a Carter, but it is a Holly 6145 one barrel. Yeah. Then there are no other carburetor, any other air cleaners that are going to fit that. There's got to be from us. You can get it from an earlier one. You can get all the way back to 1960. Any single barrel slant six carburetor will have that same throat opening. So whether it's a BBS or the Holly like you've got there, they're all going to have the same opening. So and if you can find the unsilenced slant six air cleaner from 1960 to like 1969, I think they stopped making them. That would probably be the best overall one. Um, Kevin Young, what do you think about UTG being mentioned in the new Skylab's audio video? This is the first I heard about it was on here about I don't know, a half hour ago. Somebody brought that up, so I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what he said. I've never seen his channel. Um, Oscar Walton, the fastest car you own is the one you don't care about. So there's something to that. So when I was doing the nitro thing, okay. Now here's an example where you've got maximum performance. Okay, this is it. This is just like it only exists for one thing, right? And you know that it's completely disposable. You know that something is going to get. You know what I mean? It's something's going to burn the body off. Something is going to, it's disposable. And you know that within a couple of years, it's going to be enough fatigue in the frame that you're going to have to toss that. You know that the motor is only going to get, you're only going to get so many laps before, it eats itself. It's all completely disposable. So yeah, it's like there's an inverse relationship between like longevity and caring for the thing and keeping it and loving it and performance, because the less performance car it is, the more pedestrian it is, the easier it is to keep it intact and nice. And you go the other way and you get to maximum performance, it's completely throwaway. So yeah, inverse relationship, and you got to meet someplace there in the middle. Uh, mm, Good coffee. Okay. Uh, I got to check because I'm curious. So just hang on a second. It's 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we have a slight pullback on gold, $5,076. It's up 97.20, and silver's it's just stuck there at 107.69. So, all right, interesting stuff. Uh, let's see. Okay, precision services 107.60. Okay. What's platinum doing? Precision Q service. I guess you do pool cues. I shot pool for a while. What's platinum doing right now? Uh, Tumbleweed. Remember that GTX called the Silver Bullet? I certainly do. When I was this is back in 1980, I'm going to say it was 1987, probably 1987. I was doing High Performance Mopar magazine, and I met this guy named Chris through a mutual friend, David Hakem. And you guys, if you're familiar with, the Mopar world, you know David Hakem. So his friend Chris owned the Silver Bullet. So I got to see the car before it was restored, before anything. It was like in its rough form. The motor and trans were out of it, and he just had it in his garage. And I remember we walked in, he said, I got something to show you. And we walked into his garage, and there was the Silver Bullet. So I got to see it in that state. And this guy also had something very interesting that I had never seen before, and I haven't seen since. But I saw it with my own two eyes. It was there. He had, this was in Detroit, okay? And he had friends and connections from racers, from back in the day. And he had pinned to a wall the full-size blueprint that Chrysler gave when you were going to do an altered wheelbase car. So Chrysler built the 11 Amberwagon cars, or the 11 altered wheelbase cars that were sent to Amberwagon. But now you could also buy a kit from Chrysler, and the kit gave you the front fenders, with the wheel move forward. They gave you a bunch of stuff, right? So you could do your own altered wheelbase car, and it also came with a full-size blueprint. It was the size of the car, and you folded it out like a map, and you pinned it to your wall, and you followed that blueprint. And I actually got to see one of those. Let's see. Yeah, Mexican spec. Amberwagen built Edsel ambulances, but they were also contracted by Chrysler to do the altered wheelbase cars from 1865. Just like they had Hearst do the Hemi Darts, and Cudas in 1968. Um, I'm just scrolling back up here. Okay, you're talking about the XJ Jeep girl. So this is something I meant to throw out there. And I know this isn't going to interest many of you, right? But I get the biggest kick out of it. So I got a text message a couple of days ago from you guys know Dex J, the Jeep, the XJ Jeep channel, Dexter, and he's just amazing. Like this guy knows he owns over 1,000 XJs. He's got a junkyard, owns over 1,000 XJs. Does really great videos. He knows these things inside out and backwards. And his brother is a machinist, and his brother has, in my opinion, the ultimate god king of all XJs. And it's this red 4-cylinder 5-speed XJ that is just completely destroyed, completely hammered from one end to the other. You have never seen a vehicle like this. And he drives this thing full send all the time. Okay, like there's like no like creeping around with this thing. It's just full send, full time, all the time. And this thing is upside down and on its side and everything else all the time. It is the coolest friggin' XJ I've ever seen in my life. I actually ran into him in a gas station here in Murfreesboro. They were on their way to a thing, and I was on my motorcycle and I'm riding along, and out of the corner of my eye, I see a transporter with a couple of XJs on it, and at the back of it is that XJ, and I was like, oh my god, it's Dexter's brother's XJ. So I pulled over and I took pictures with it. I was like total fanboy, right? I took pictures of him. I took pictures with the Jeep, and so the other day I get a text from Justin, his brother, and he says, "Do you want to come for? You want to join us for a ride?" And he didn't give me the exact date. It's going to be sometime in March. So I says, "Yes, I'll be there." So I right now I'm not working on it myself. I got my buddy John doing a 4x4 swap on that green XJ that I picked up. So yeah, we're gonna go ride with the Dex J bunch sometime in I believe it's gonna be the end of March. So yes, I'm totally stoked on that. I know most of you guys could care less, but like yeah, so Tony was starstruck. I was starstruck. I'm telling you, it was awesome. Um, White Opal Magic. The Minnesota happenings, are they just smoke and mirrors while this liquidity crisis rolls out? Germany went to gold back from the USA. Is it smoke and mirrors? I've been saying the same thing. Look, 3 words, okay? It's the same 3 words that I've been repeating now for years, okay? And I honestly believe this, right? Enjoy the show. Just enjoy the show. That's it, right? Enjoy the show. Make of that whatever you will. Um, so let's see. I'm scrolling up here. Um, Ultimate Massive, is the Jeep Death Wobble just on a one components and poor rigging? I so see here's the thing about Death Wobble. Right. So obviously, the bigger tire, the heavier tire and wheel combination you put on there, the more prone it's going to be to Death Wobble. Something with worn components will also eventually give you Death Wobble, depending on, especially that track bar that runs across, uh, will give you Death Wobble. A worn steering box that's worn to the point that you can't even really sense it in the steering wheel will give you Death Wobble. There's so many things that will give you Death Wobble. Uh, so and it just magnifies itself with the high. So you can get away with slightly sloppy front end components with stock size tires and wheels. Like it's kind of designed that way. But once you go to just a little bit oversized, you go to like 31s or so, 31s, then it really becomes an issue. Death Wobble will get you. And then of course the higher you raise it, because as you raise it, you're reducing the caster. And when you take caster away, you make it even more prone to Death Wobble. So yeah, there's a lot of um, Torino Elite is saying steering damper for the Death Wobble, dude. I've already been through this. I had one of mine with a mysterious Death Wobble. Could not track this thing down. I had stock tires and wheels. It ended up being the steering box. But yeah, I put a damper on it. It didn't make any difference. It didn't make any difference. Let's see. Danny Boyd is saying, surprise Volvo Freight doesn't sell equipment in milk pennies. If they will, they will. Um, Oscar Walton is saying anything precious metal is likely to go up mainly because of the crazy going on in the world right now. Currency debasement. What you're living through right now, what you've been living through for the last couple of years, is literally World War III. This is everybody. Oh, you talk about World War III, and everybody's like, yes, missiles and nukes and everything's gonna go nuts and shit like that. No, no, no. You're literally, this is World War III. You're in the middle of World War III. This is a war that's being fought with currencies, and it's a war that's being fought with technology. It's not a war that's going to be fought with any sort of what's what I'm looking for, kinetic action. And unfortunately, we've already lost. It's that simple. We lost. We gave it away. We gave it away. I can't even. I can't even. Um, you guys are talking about Death Wobble. Oscar Walton, a steering box, even a bit of wear in the tie rods can cause. I just went through that with a second gen Ram. Frog feeder, leaf spring bushings, but my culprit for the Death Wobble. See, there's so many different things that'll give it to you. And probably tie rod ends also, all of it together. I rebuilt all every piece of rubber in the front end has been replaced. Um, Kerosene cucumbers. Tony, what happened to the analog X-ray project? Here's what happens. You float. As you go through YouTube, okay, you float ideas out. You like, yeah, I want to try this. I want to try it. And you have an idea in your mind. This is a project I would like to do, and so you bring it out. You talk about what it is that you want to do. Unfortunately, you're up to, because I'm one person. It's me. I'm the only person doing this stuff. And I can only do so much. All right. Um, when you float an idea, there has to be enough um, interest. There has to be enough feedback from the audience, and you get that through views and comments, reactions. There has to be a sufficient feedback to devote time to it. Well, I didn't get that, right? We got some reaction, but not enough for me to say, okay, let's drop other things and focus on this. So it's been on hold. It's been just on the back burner. I have everything I need to do it. I just haven't done it because other projects. Plus, we got the dragster dropped in our lap. So that's another thing to put everything off that I had wanted. So this year was difficult, right? Uh, as we've talked about before, Kathy has MS, and she was down for just about 5 months. So for 5 months, I couldn't do anything except run to the shop, shoot a quick video, and then run back home and take care of the house, take care of the dogs and her and everything, the shopping, the cleaning, and the cooking. And so that put me completely off for several months. Couldn't go to the track, couldn't leave here, just could not leave here. Um, Now she's much better. She's like, so that's not a problem at all. But now, since then, the dragster got started. So between that health issue that popped up and then the dragster, it's kind of taken over all of my project time, if that makes any sense. But we will eventually get back to it, but I couldn't prioritize it given the fact that there was so little reaction from the audience. Um, Thunderstorm, the golden twirler is will definitely get a lot of views. I don't know about that. I've done a lot of things that I thought for sure were going to get a lot of views, and they haven't. Um, I can tell you this for sure, right? So I've been I've been doing YouTube for 8 years now. This is my eighth year doing this. It's changed, okay? Not so much YouTube has changed. Oh no, it has. YouTube has changed. But what the things that people are interested in is definitely changing. Um, when I started this channel, um, basic tech things, uh, engine builds, uh, muscle car history stuff, all big, all got really big views. And that's what we went with because it's where my interests are, it's where my knowledge is, and the audience wanted it. 8 years later, the global landscape has changed. Okay, um, people are up against it now. There's less views. Like I used to be able to do like a basic carburetor video, tuning Edelbrock's, let's just say, or something like that, and we get hundreds of thousands of views. And now when I do similar videos, they get 20,000 views, 30,000 views. That has definitely scaled back. The things that get views now are more broader topics like uh, problems that people they're afraid and they're having problems and they're being squeezed from every angle. So the things that are getting views now are I always we got views with scams, people getting ripped off, and so on and so forth. But now the things that get views are how the automakers are screwing us and different government things. The screwiness of it all. This is what gets views. This is what people want to see because they're much more they're more afraid now than they were back then. They don't have the extra money to say, yeah, I'll just pick up this carburetor. Oh yeah, I'll just grab up parts car or where they don't have that now. They're busy trying to pay their bills. So life is changing, or society is changing, and if this is my business, and I need to stay in line with that, and you have to give the public what it wants. I do a video on some sort of Detroit, or automaker ripoff, scam, anything like that, and I get 500,000 views. I get 600,000 views, 700,000 views. I do something that's like grassroots, mechanical how-to, and I get 20,000 views or 30,000 views. So this is a business that I'm in. So, and it's not that I want to like go not do that stuff anymore, but it doesn't get nearly the views that the other things do. So you have to give the audience what is asking for it. Um, let's see. Yeah, boomer chair stuff. Boomer chair stuff always. I crank out the boomer chair, and yeah, I know it's like we're gonna eat really good this week. Um, Mexican spec. Tony, will you accept the truck Dr. wants to use in the toilet race? I'm gonna make a video about that. I'm going to reply to his call out, or his answer to my call out. Rocco was saying time to pick up a Fox body. Dude, I'm telling you, things are changing. Things are changing. Yeah, I can pick up a Fox body, but it's not going to get the views necessary to cover. Remember, again, it's a business. So if I pick up a car, there's the cost of the car, then there's the cost of all of the modifications that have to be done to it, and then there's the time away from other things that actually do make, because it's headspace. You can't. It's very hard to shift from um, doing front end, drag racing suspension tricks to a Fox body, let's say, and then switch it over to like boomer chair type of things. Very mentally, it's very hard to make that switch. So it takes you off path, right? Um, yeah, no Fox bodies, no Fox bodies. All right, skip ahead here. Um, I'm scrolling out. I know I can't tell what you guys are talking about. Dickie Farley, on a side note, Uncle Tony, do you like calzones? I'm having a 4 cheese calzone fried. I only like my calzones fried. I do not like a baked calzone. A baked calzone is like an insult to me. So if it is a deep fried calzone, then yes, I absolutely I'm there with you. If it's baked, I I, I wouldn't run it over with my car. Um, and that's a principle thing. It's a matter of principle. Um, Thunderstruck. What if you do, Tony? Your channel is one of the most interesting, varied subjects, and lots of things to learn. Lots of fun stuff as always. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I honestly do. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing the broad spectrum of stuff that we've done. It's just again, you got to change with the times, and you have to be aware of the times. And right now, you know, whether anybody wants to recognize it or not, we're in a generational shift. We're in the great reset. This is it. It's happening right now, and society is going in two separate directions. Okay, and what you got to understand is that one path, okay, is going to take the majority of people to that digital surveillance state that everybody, like, everybody's like, oh, they're going to watch everything you do. You're going to be in a 15-minute city. They're going to not going to let you do this. You're going to have social credit scores, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to say 75% of the population is on that path. They're already there. They're already there. They're already wage slaves. They're already completely tied into the system. And all of the bad things that people have been warning about since like George Orwell, right, is all happening to them right now. And that's 75% of the population. And they're going that way, okay? And then the other 25% of the population, we're going the exact opposite way. We're going towards autonomy. And what a lot of people don't understand is that the powers that be, the controllers, whoever the controllers are they even human? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know their names. I don't know their faces. They operate behind the scenes, okay? But it doesn't do them any good to have everybody in that slave system. You need free living people, beings, to make stuff happen. You need them to run the farms. You need them to fix the machinery. You need them to invent the machinery. You need them to make the tools, to invent things. You need a class, a certain percentage of the population has to be free and autonomous in order to keep society going. And that's what most people don't understand. So yes, the slave state, the digital trap, nightmare, and everything is absolutely a reality. It is right now, okay? And it's going to get a lot worse. But that's not for everybody, okay? And I feel that my job, primarily, my job is my business is to make money, but my job is to share what I observe or what I can learn with the people who are on that other path, right? And that's who. Okay, does that make any sense? Um, let me hang on, guys. I gotta do a check. What do we got here now? We got gold. Oh, jeez, it just keeps rocking. We got gold at $5,087.05. That's up $108.20. That's 2.17% gold so far, trading in Shanghai. And silver, we're at 108.40. Gee, I can't believe it. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth. Silver, we're at 108.41. That's up $7.37, 7.29% gain on the session so far. Boy, howdy, we having fun right now. Fubar to the moon and beyond, beyond. Um, no, this is not financial advice. Uh, Chevy Hemi is saying, hi, everybody. Tony, I like the talk about stocks and sun. It's nice to hear I'm not the only one with the same opinion. I'm not sure what you mean by stocks and sun, but I think a lot of us have a I think a lot of us have just an intuitive grasp of what's going on. And I don't think everybody has that. I think if everybody had that, there would have been like the revolution 200 years ago, right? Um, but and then Fubar just put up a link to my shop, to my shop, to our merch. So much, thank you, Fubar. So if you want our hats, our shirts, stickers, and anything else at Kathy Bananas, has stuck there in the store. Don't know what's there. Uh, yes, that's the link to get it at. Thank you so much. Um, and Rocco is saying AppMex has gold at 5,104.60. Stuff is happening, guys. Um, so, Oscar Gonzalez is saying, so does this mean that junk old silver coins are no longer junk? They've never been junk. They're referred to as junk because they have to be refined. Okay, so they're only junk in comparison to pure bullion, silver bullion. Okay, they've never been junk where you throw them away. It's just a slang that the industry uses to refer to metal that needs to be refined to get its purest form. Okay, so yes, no, it's not junk even the slightest. It's silver and it's valuable. And what Sandra is saying, and he's right. It's a national treasure. And I hate when this stuff gets melted down. I hate the idea of people selling it to refiners to get melted down. I know it's a reality, but um, I'm just scrolling back up here. So not financial advice, okay? Not financial advice. Um, Robert Tree is saying, I thought it was illegal to destroy currency. Not once it's withdrawn from production. Once they stop producing it, it's fair game what you do with it. Anyways, besides the point. Go tell that to the backroom smelters that are just going to melt down anything they can. Um, so not financial advice, but what's going on, I know that the price of silver at this point is out of reach for most people. Um, I would be buying copper. I would be buying as much copper as I can get my hands on, and sitting on as much copper as I can get my hands on, because that's okay. As far as public acceptance of what's going on in precious metals, there's probably only about 10% of the population that's even aware that such a thing exists. And there's even less percentage of that understands how money actually works. Okay. But now, as more people get squeezed and more people have to pull their head out of the sand and learn about what money is, what currency is, and what precious metals are, and all this other stuff, well, as more people become aware of that, they're going to panic and they're going to look to save, they're going to look to protect themselves by getting into a precious metal. The problem is at this point, 100 and right now it's $108 an ounce for silver, $5,000 for an ounce of gold. Nobody's going to be able to afford this. So they're going to go to the next tier down, and that's going to be copper. And I'm telling you, maybe not this year, or maybe later on this year, maybe 2 years from now, someplace in that range, copper is going to be the metal that everybody is paying attention to. Right now, silver's got the headlines, gold's got the headlines. Copper will have the headlines in the near future because that's accessible and attainable to the average person who's just trying to protect what they have. Okay, so copper, start piling up as much copper as you possibly can in any form that you can get your hands on it. I'm talking about it now. You're not going to hear anybody else talking about it yet. Like if you go through the monetary channels, right? Nobody's going to be. They talk about copper, and it has been hitting all-time highs. But they're not going to talk about nobody. It's off everybody's radar right now because everybody's so fixated on what's happening with silver and gold to a lesser extent. But I'm telling you, once it's become established that we are in a debasement phase, automatically, as people fucking dive out of the dollar, out of the currency, they're going to look for a safe haven, and there's only one safe haven that's available to the average person that you can have any meaningful. So in other words, like yeah, you could cough up enough money to buy, let's say, half an ounce of gold, let's say, or 10 ounces of silver, but that's not a meaningful amount to people. They want something that a lot that they can stack, and I'm telling you, it's going to be copper. At the end of the day, the meek shall inherit the earth. And at the end of the day, copper is going to be the big winner. Um, uh, Shauna, aluminum was once a precious metal at one point a long, long time ago. I don't believe, no. Here's the thing with copper. Here's why, not copper, aluminum. Um, Aluminum degrades. Okay, so if you take a piece of aluminum and you bury it in the ground, let's just say, and you come back to it 10 years later, it's going to be powder. Okay, anything that degrades cannot be considered a precious metal or a store of value. Does that make any sense? So aluminum was never a precious metal. Aluminum was considered to be very desirable at one point because it was a new metal. It was something and had a lot of use in the industry. So it had a lot of value, but it was never considered a precious metal because it degrades. Showing the person, Tony, I'm completely out of the loop. Can you explain the simple reason why gold and silver have shot up after being kind of stagnant for so long? Okay, what's happening right now is a rejection of the dollar. All right. The Bretton Woods Accord, immediately following World War II, dictated that basically created the dollar as the global reserve asset. Okay. Because we had won the war and we had to rebuild all of these countries. And so if you're gonna rebuild your country, well then you're gonna bank in our money. Okay. So we became the de facto global reserve currency. Up until 1971, August 15th, 1971, the number of dollars that were printed was limited by how much gold the Treasury held. Okay, when Nixon signed that, Nixon ended the redemption of gold, the gold window, it closed the gold window, August 15th, 1971. It basically meant that now the government can print whatever it wants. So at that point, you had your first stage of failure, systemic failure. And this was the inflation of the middle to late 70s that ended with silver hitting $50 an ounce, which is 200 and some odd dollars an ounce in today's money, and gold topping it at 800 and some odd dollars an ounce. And then all of a sudden there was this big crash. And what happened was that was in 1980. What happened was at that point Reagan was the president, and he basically passed off the running of the country to Paul Volcker at the Fed. Now the Fed dictated economic policy instead of our elected officials. All right. So I know it's going to sound a little convoluted. So with that, gold and silver, or I should say, we became a debt-based currency or a debt-based economy beginning in 1971. But now in 1980, 1981, 1982, it was in full swing and debt became the currency. We all became, there was, previous to that, credit cards were very rare. There was no such thing as a home equity loan. To be in any sort of debt was an embarrassment. A lot of people today don't understand this. Okay, so you had that shift in psychology and economic policy that then led us to where we are today. All right, because you go back to when one person, a man worked for one job and came home and supported his family of four and all had a nice house and a nice car and all ate very nice and went on vacations. Well, that ended with that closing of the gold window in 1971. All right, so make a long story short, we should have had a depression beginning in 1980. It would have blown everything out, but we didn't. And basically, we borrowed our way out of a depression. Then you fast forward to 2008, 2009. We should have had another depression. So it was able, they were able to put it off from 1980 until around 2006, 2007, 2008. We should have had a depression. It would have ended everything, and we would have cleared the slate, gone back to a hard money standard, and everything would have been good. That was a great financial crisis. But once again, they reached into their bag of tricks, came up with every sort of gimmick you could possibly imagine, every sort of scheme, the quantitative easing and all this other stuff, and once again borrowed our way out of the depression even further, pushed it out even further. Okay, well now at this point, the national debt is $38 trillion, an amount that can never be paid back. The government started weaponizing the dollar by creating sanctions on anybody who had disagreed with. Oh, here's a sanction for you, a sanction for you, a sanction for you. And everybody's like, no, we're done with this. So this period of stagnation came to an end just about 3 years ago, when the rest of the world decided they were going to band together and come up with a basket of currencies that were based on commodities, otherwise known as the BRICS nations. So that's what's happening right now. For the last couple of years, the BRICS nations have been quietly, slowly trading their debt-based instruments for precious metals, and basically any commodity, and building their stockpile. Now we've reached a tipping point. They have enough that they can actually shut the US dollar down. They can eliminate, they can squash the beast. And this is what they're doing. So China, India, Russia, Brazil, dozens of other countries are now sending back all of the dollars, all of these debt instruments that they've been holding for all of these years, and trading them for the metals, so that they can build their own basket of currencies based on hard assets and commodities that can't be inflated to. So that's where we're at right now. So you talk about, you look at things that are going on right now, okay, with various other areas. I have to be careful what I say on here, because the AI reads, and if I use certain words or name certain places, yeah, we get slammed. But current events that are happening in other countries and regions, countries to the south of us, regions to the north, east of us, all have to do with securing resources. Now that our dollar is about to disappear, okay, it's about securing resources that we're going to need, because literally the rest of the world is turning against us right now. The rest of the world is canceling us right now. And that is why things have shot up the way they did. And it had to be done slowly. For them to get us, okay, it had to be done slowly. They couldn't just all get up and say, yeah, let's take all the gold and all the silver. It had to be done slowly. It had to be done very methodically. And some of us have been watching this unfold in real time for several years now. Only now it's become obvious. And once it becomes obvious, that means that the jig is up, and we're in the end game right now. Um, Joker, but Tony, don't you think the incumbent president, not trying to go political or poke any bears, is transforming things in the right direction with his aggressive economic fixes? They're not fixes. The current president can't come out and say, hey, we're screwed, okay? We're screwed. He said it in a roundabout way. Now remember, okay, whoever happens to be the president is just a front man, okay? It's just like a band, okay? It's just like a band. Like 6 people in the band, there's one front man, okay? And but there's all of the people that are playing the instruments, and there's all the people doing the sound, and there's all of the people that manage them, and all of the people that write the music, and all this other stuff. But like front man, and that's, well, this is the same exact thing, okay? So he's basically told what to say. He's told what policies to follow. There are thousands of people in an administration that all these little think tanks and groups and so on and so forth that actually pull the strings. So if you remember, you go back to this current cycle, okay, or the current administration. He's talking about the golden jubilee of the 2026 and how the 250th anniversary, July 4th, was going to be a huge, huge thing, okay? And then all of this stuff has been happening since, okay? Um, that's what it's leading to, okay? He knows, maybe not him himself, but the administration knows what's actually up. And at some point between now and I'm going to say the summer and most likely July 4th, you're going to see, here's my prediction, the Fed and the IRS are done. They're out. Okay, the Treasury is going to take place of all of that. This whole thing about tariffs is actually about the next phase, because the next phase taxation will be based on tariffs, as it was originally. And sometime this year, sometime in 2026, I think that we're returning to the original constitutional outline and pre-1871. There's so much to this, guys. There's so much to this. I could sit and talk about this all night. And I know it's kind of vague and because there's so much to this and there's so much you can't talk about. This is going to be a very interesting year. Um, Tom Manley, they will have to revalue gold to balance the debt. A lot of people don't realize that gold right now is on the books at $42 an ounce. As far as like what the government is sitting on or may not be sitting on, it's only valued at $42 an ounce. It's not valued at 5,000. The government is going to absolutely have to revalue it, but I think that the government is going to wait to revalue it until it can eliminate the Fed from the system. And I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not telling you this is going to happen and this is when it's going to happen. I'm giving you my opinion, and this is opinion. This is an opinion that I've been forming for decades. So I'm not just looking at the current events and saying, "Aha, this is what's going on." No, I've been following this for a long, long time. I over the last 30 years, trust me when I tell you, much more of my headspace has been occupied by economic and geopolitical things than it has with cars. Cars are like a side hobby. When I'm in my own head and doing my research and reading and learning and stuff like that, it's about stuff like this. Uh, Chevy Hemi said gold will be 4 times what it is now. Mm-mm, way up, way up. Um, I'm just scrolling up, guys, just to see if. Hey, Dakota, what's happening, man? What can you invest in now to get ahead? I just said a few minutes ago, man. Copper. Buy as much copper as you can get your hands on. Stack it, stash it, do whatever you can. Copper. Tools. Okay, good tools. I see you're young, man. You're young. Skills. Okay, skills. Every skill that you have, Dakota. Everything that you know how to do is wealth. okay, that nobody can take away from you. So everybody's at different stages of their lives, right? So if you're in your 50s, your 60s, really just grab as much precious metals as you possibly can. When you're younger, like you, and you still have a whole life to deal with, copper, silver if you can afford it, copper, but mostly tools and skills and social networking, man. Social network. Get to know people in your community and then make sure everybody knows what it is that you do. And learn to do as many different things as possible. Become as independent from the system as humanly possible. Dean Stevenson says, "This is why you're here." Well, anything that brings you in, bro, is good by me. um, let's see. Be a welder. Welder is a very good thing. Um, yes, and electronics, right? Keeping vehicles on the road, just simple systems. Um, Not simple to me because I'm not versed in it. Okay, but being able to reconfigure a transmission control module. All these various modules they put in cars these days, the systems that are in cars. Being able to work around those things, modify those things, or create your own is going to be a huge thing in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Um, and like let's take it to another level too, because okay, so you look at trends that are happening right now. Okay, uh, the unrepairable cars, this stuff that won't make it through warranty. Okay, where everything is made to the lowest possible common denominator. Everything's made out of junk, and nobody can fix it. Right, the dealerships can't keep mechanics, and they keep raising the ante. They keep pumping out more junk in worse condition, charging more for it, not caring if for customer satisfaction. They could care less if you're satisfied. They could care less if you come back another car. Why? Why is it? Is it because private equity is evil? No. Private equity can be evil, but that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that the people who are involved in private equity, in all of the higher and corporations, the higher level economic people know exactly what time it is. And so what they're doing is they're milking every penny they can out of things. They're jacking the prices of everything as high as they possibly can and offering as little quality as they can get away with. Will this thing just drive off the showroom floor so we can get paid for it? That's all they care about right now because they know what time it is. So none of these corporations, none of these companies are attempting to do all of the things that we expect the company to do. You provide, good long-lasting service and all the other stuff. No, they don't care because they know what's going on. They understand that their industry is kaput within a very short period of time. They don't care. That's why things are the way they are. That's why you can't get a refrigerator to last. That's why you can't get a dishwasher to last. That's why you can't get a bicycle to last. You can't get because they know what time it is. Does that make any sense, guys? That is what's actually going on. Oscar Gonzalez is going to be a resident of Bartertown. I'm ruling Bartertown, bro. Uh, let's see. Built-in obsolescence, Raymond Cabal, built-in obsolescence is much more prevalent. It's beyond obsolescence. Now it's just literally it's just the stuff it's beyond obsolescence. The latest generations of cars are just they're done from the word go. GM is building V8s that won't pass 50, 60,000 miles. They don't care. They don't care. They're doing exactly the same thing. They're doing exactly the same thing that like when when boys are going to torch a business or something like that, they gut it first. They gut it. They sell everything that's of any value. They take out loans against it. They do everything they possibly can to build its value and get as much of that value back into their pockets before they toss a match and it goes up in flames. And then they collect from the insurance. Well, that's the bigger picture. That's what's going on in the world right now with basically, it's an insurance job. It's a big insurance job that all of the big major corporations are in on. Um, I'm just scrolling up here. Um, Ed Lee, I can't pronounce that, bro. Capitalism only works if it's used properly. Stop buying crap that's terrible. Complaining about it while you are handing your cash over offers no incentive to change anything. Yes, except that we're beyond capitalism. We're in a phase of predatory capitalism. And one of the side effects, the great financial crisis, the reason why we didn't have the event that's happening right now happen in 2008, 2010, is because they conveniently removed all of the rules. Like they quietly would change the rules as they went along, right? Uh, Nobody the wiser. But after 2008, 2009, they literally threw the rule book away. There are no rules anymore, and that's when the true nature of the predatory. See, capitalism is only good as long as there are strong laws in place to keep greed from getting out of hand. And I am a devout capitalist. It's the only system I believe in. Period. The end. Okay, but capitalism can only exist in a society if there are strong laws in place to keep greed in check and to protect the consumer. And after 2008, they were all gone, just all gone. So now everybody is just screwed. And it's not that it just happened all of a sudden in 2008. It's been a slow burn. Does that make any sense? Tommy Manley. Oh shit, you're right. It's a big ass insurance job, and the people will be left holding the dirt bag. Yes, yes, you get it. You get it. That's what this is. Um, Richard Benelli, what books will you recommend to get some understanding of what you were talking about? There aren't a lot of books, man. There aren't a lot of books. Um, it just depends on what aspect of this you. The creature from Jekyll Island will give you a good idea of how this whole thing got started. Look into the creature of Jekyll Island. Uh, Lots of people like Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. Um, oh God, there are so many. Uh, Anybody who's familiar with what I'm talking about, throw some suggestions in because I'm just having a blank right now. Um, White Opal Magic. They changed the meaning of words. Yes. The bank can bail in your money. Yes. They control your money. No, it's not your money anymore. You got the first two parts right, but then you missed that one. You say they control your money or papers, and you are limited to get your money notes that is shit. No, you're completely wrong. It's not your money. It's not your money. That's what people don't understand. When your paycheck gets deposited directly into their account, it's their money now. It's not yours. It's their money. Legally, it's their money. And then they agree with you. They come up with an agreement with you that they will let you have access to that money. But it's actually their money. When you deposit the money in a bank, you're literally giving that money to the bank. It's not yours anymore. Um, 1984, yeah, Orwell's book, yes. Um, oh God, there's so much to this, guys. There's so much to this stuff. Well, Man 70 is saying that the FDIC won't show you valuables in a safe deposit box and consider their property. Anything you put anything that you put in a safe deposit box now belongs to the bank or whoever is holding it, whatever the custodian is. If you're holding precious metals in a custodial account, they own it. They're not the custody holder. They own it. They have custody of your metal, right? You think it's yours. It's not yours. It's theirs. And if everything goes okay, then they will agree to give it back to you. But as soon as things are like, no, anything that's in a safe deposit box, anything that's in a custodial account, no, it's not yours. And that's what most people don't, they can't wrap their head around that. If you don't own it, you can put it in your hand like this. If you can't do that, you do not own it. Let's see what time. Oh my God. We've blown through 2 hours already. And I have to do a metal check at 9:01 Central Standard Time. We have, yep, gold came back a little bit. It's at $5,074, up $95.85. It was up a little higher a little while ago. Silver is new high, 108.72. That's up $7.68 or 7.61%. Yes. All right. So, did Kathy pop in here? Oh, okay. Kathy jumped in there. Okay. Anything Austrian economic? Yes. Let me throw a few channels at you guys. I'll go with like non-controversial ones. Because some of what you come across is going to be a little controversial, right? But Lynette Zhang, right? Find Lynette Zhang. I forget what I actually linked to her, or what do you call it? Not linked to it. I highlighted her channel in the description of that last video. Lynette Zhang is one good one. Find anything that Andy Schekman is on. Andy Schekman, very, very smart guy. Liberty and Finance. Rafi Farber is another one. The Endgame Investor. He's somebody you could follow. Francis Hunt. He's a little out there at times. He's a little out there, but the guy's brilliant, and he's called every step of the way. So there's another one. Who else? Start with them. Start with them. Peter Schiff. No, I like Peter Schiff. I really do. The problem with Peter Schiff is that he's a broken record. He's been saying the same thing for well forever, right? His father Irwin Schiff is the guy that actually got started with it. Irwin was a pretty cool dude. He ended up dying in prison because he was right. Okay, I like Peter Schiff, but he's right now. Okay, Peter Schiff is finally right. Uh, Gerald Celente is great for entertainment, but yeah, he's good for entertainment. I wouldn't follow him for any sort of hardcore advice. Not saying don't watch him. Not saying don't watch him, but he's entertainment. Um, uh, Dakota, do you still watch Economic Ninja? I pop in on him every once in a while. We actually been we was just texting back and forth with him about this thing that's happening right now, and I don't know what to make of this. I honestly don't know what to make of this whole thing's going on. But I'm the Asian AI guy. Okay, this is a very interesting phenomenon. Now, the Asian AI guy has decided to take aim directly at the Economic Ninja. I have no idea why, but he's already done like 4 videos exposing the Economic Ninja. Um, I don't know why, but here's the thing about the Asian AI guy, and this is I'm 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 being upfront with you. I do not know what's going on with the Asian AI guy, but I can tell you that it's real. Okay, it's not a LARP, right? And it's a team of people. The Asian AI guy appears on like it does. Okay, the Asian AI guy came out of the woodwork about 3 months ago, starting to do videos. Right. Um, then over the next month or two, dozens of copycat channels featuring the AI guy, but all claiming that they're the original one and all of the other ones are copies, have been popping up. Okay, so now there's a new Asian AI guy channel like every day. All right. Now here's the thing about the Asian AI guy. Okay, it's real. Okay, um, the Asian AI guy is a team. I don't know who they are. I don't know if private individuals. I don't know if it's a government thing. It smells a lot like Tokyo Rose. Okay, if you're familiar with like World War II, okay, it actually has a very strong Tokyo Rose aspect to it. But I couldn't imagine why a government sponsored entity would take target at the Economic Ninja. That doesn't make much sense to me. But I know that it's several people. Um, the Asian AI guy is giving a lot of really good information mixed in with some disinformation or some wildly off. The Asian AI guy reminds me of you conspiracy guys would remember back around 2000, 1999, 2000. There was I think, the Jeff Rentz program, Rents.com, right? And the thing about Rents.com was there was all these stories, okay? And it would always be something that would, like, there would be good information, and then all of a sudden there would be deliberate disinformation or something really crazy. So it would be like factually, and it made sense. Factually, A happened, then B happened, and C happened, and you see, oh, that makes sense. And then the reptilian shapeshifters popped up and shot their death rays at everybody. And then D happens, and then C happens. So if you're an old time, truther researcher, you're familiar with that whole level of disinformation that happens within things that give you good information. So the Asian AI guy reminds me of the early days of Rents.com, and seems like it has about the same thing as like Tokyo Rose. Um, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. I would suggest that if you're halfway interested in this whole thing that's going on, watch the Asian AI guy, but don't get sucked into the Asian AI guy. Like if the Asian AI guy says, "Do this right now," that doesn't mean do it right now, but listen to everything behind it because he's accurate about a lot of things. Okay, Arcadia Economics. Yes, thank you, Tommy. Arcadia, right? The land of Arcadia, helping you thrive while we watch the dollar die. Um, yes, everything in Arcadia Economics is good. Uh, I'm just scrolling back up here. Bullion Star. I have never I've never heard of that one, but that's a possibility. Um, Morgan Report. Uh, Power Toys. Is it time to sell silver? All right, guys. I'm yeah, we're past 2 hours now, and I am done. I'm done. I'm done. Um, so our fantastic mods, Mexican Spec, Zero, Fubar, guys, thank you so much as always. The greatest mods in all of the internet, all of history. Thank you, guys. Everybody contribute super chat. Thank you so much. It's never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody contributed with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. We wouldn't be able to do this stuff without you. Go and learn as much as you can right now. Okay, there's so much more than I can explain to you. There's so much, but we're at a really important time right now, and it's going to get even more important as we go forward. Go learn as much as you can. Uh, and that's really all I can say, right? Go learn, go learn. This is big stuff. All right, guys. So that's it. I'm pulling the plug. I thanked everybody. Yes, I thanked everybody. Dead Dodge Garage. If you guys still want to go hang out, go over to Dead Dodge Garage, and he does an overlapping live hours every Sunday night. So he'll be on for a good hour or so after this, and that's it. I'm in the stream, hitting this button, and I'm going to hit this button, and then it's like